What is up, guys? We've got the Patriots hosting the Bears. Another showdown slate means another probably bad game. But hey, there's some money to be won here. Let's try to figure out how to beat this. Should be a low total. Should be a defensive, heavy game. And let's just hope the Bears can maybe put up at least a touchdown or two in this particular game. Anyways, my name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, what's up, man? How are you? And how did you do last night on that Sunday night football game?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Last night did pretty well. I ended up tripling my entry fees, which is about as much as you can expect when you split first place with 450 other people.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
It ended up working out. I was a little shocked to see how many people went the Mostert to stack here.
Yeah.
Or, no.
Okay.
What
So
was
this is
the optimal?
So this is the optimal, right? This is I don't believe that anybody had this in the bigger tournaments because they would have solo shipped it probably.
Yeah.
I think it's Jason Sanders instead of the Dolphins defense for this one.
Yeah.
So that was the one that went. I had that lineup too. I had it in like a really small contest. That was, I wish I would have had it in a bigger contest, but it wouldn't have really made too much of a difference. I think first place in the big contest won a couple $100, or maybe they won 1,000 or something like that. That's a lot. That's a lot of money to be split up. I didn't think that a lineup like this would be very popular, or at least like super popular, but it was. So at least we were on the right track. But hey, I'll take first place, even though it was only a couple bucks for me. At least we're doing something right, I guess. All right.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So let's. So anything else to point out about this lineup that we were right about, wrong about? Confirmed our suspicions. What do you think overall? What do you get out of this lineup here?
Well, I mean, look, the interesting thing, right, was George Pickens, who had to get the one touchdown that Pittsburgh scored. And then Pat Freiermuth, he was just the dump-off guy. So I said not going too heavy on the skill positions. But this is one of those sacks that obviously I had because I feel like tight ends is a little bit less of a normal skill position, right? You're going to be in there to block, and you're there as a safety valve. So if he goes out and has 15 receptions for 8 yards, he's going to be in the optimal, which is pretty much what we saw last night. So
yeah,
I think we were right on. Let's see if we can keep the same momentum for tonight's just absolutely exciting game.
Speaking of that, so excuse me, Chicago going into Foxborough. It's going to be a rainy night potentially. As of now, the time we're recording this, it doesn't look like there's going to be heavy winds or anything, but it's going to be a nice rainy night. Which I don't think that affects things too much. In a game like this, we're already looking at like not very high-powered offenses, not very high-powered passing offenses. But, it's worth mentioning. You could give a little bit of the boost to the run game here. So New England's minus 405, and they're minus 8.5 point favorites. Big ownership difference here, a 40.5 total. This kind of reminds me of, when you're looking at the numbers here, of the game we did last night. But, there's not that high-powered offense. There's not that huge, really, really big-time offensive player in this slate. So what do we do here, man? Are you buying into, using the ownership leverage for Chicago to maybe get some more Chicago lineups in this game? They're not facing they're not facing a juggernaut like the Bills or something. This is still New England. They're not that good of a team.
Yeah, man. No, I think this is pretty efficiently priced. I don't think, in the line as well, like all the Vegas odds here, I think that's pretty efficient. And to get different, I think we're actually going to have to come up with a different plan than what we usually do, right? I know we like taking dogs in a lot of these matchups, but this is just, I don't know, man. Like Chicago just does not look like a pro football team. I don't know how to describe it. Their offensive line is in shambles. They put too much on Justin Fields, and their best wide receiver is Velus Jones Jr. So, despite all that, I still think New England just still has a better roster. They have by far a better head coach who's known for demolishing young quarterbacks. So I just don't think there's much shot or much hope here for the Bears.
Yeah, you do have the Belichick effect, obviously, going up against Justin Fields, who's basically a rookie quarterback at this point. Look, let's talk about that for a second. Justin Fields is the second highest blitz quarterback in the NFL. He's the highest sack rate against the blitz, so he's getting sacked a lot. The most in the league when teams are blitzing. But he does have this scramble ability. So he leads the league in scramble yards, was at 264. So with a lot of blitzing in this game, you might see a couple breakout runs from him, and you might see a couple of long 20-yard runs, and that could really help him out. And if he happened to score a rushing touchdown, I feel like he most likely will be in the optimal. The Patriots defense leads the league in man coverage snaps and single high coverage. So for me, that signifies they're going to stop this team. They're going to stop the run game for the Bears because they run the ball the highest clip in the league at 51% of their snaps are running. So they're going to stop the run game. They're going to make Justin Fields beat them in the air, but that also adds the element. If they're playing all man coverage and they're blitzing a lot, you could see some big plays down the field to some of these guys on the Bears, and all you need is one of those to really break the slate. Any other thoughts about that before we move on to injuries?
No, man.
All right, sorry guys, I'm dying over here. So injuries, we got Mac Jones is coming back. All right, so he was questionable. That ankle injury was pretty bad though. If anybody saw images of him getting kind of carried off the field into the tunnel, he was basically weeping. I mean, he was in a lot of pain. That is a tough injury. I'm pretty sure it was a high ankle sprain. So he's coming back. I don't know what his, how mobile he'll be. Not that he's a mobile quarterback to begin with, but having that injury, he's not going to be able to move around the pocket maybe as much. Nelson Aguilar is questionable. Ty Montgomery's out. Too bad, because on a Showdown slate, I'd love to play a $200 Ty Montgomery. Yeah. Kendrick Bourne is doubtful. So you got Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. Bourne's out. Aguilar might be out. What does this do to to your shares of some of these wide receivers? Maybe some backup guys for New England.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's going to be awkward anyways. Like, as much as I would normally love playing some of these backup spots here, I think right now I'm kind of laser focused in on the running game for the Pats. Like, and I think we got to find a way to get different off of kind of just the basic builds here. So maybe there's going to be some value if a guy like Aguilar sits, and maybe they elevate someone from the practice squad that will be able to just use as a punt. But I don't know, man. I'm with you though. I would have loved to get some Ty Montgomery in.
Oh, let's just get right into this, man. This is not a game that we want to spend all day working with here. Let's just get into it. Break it down. All right, so we've got Mac Jones at 9,800, Justin Fields at 10.4K. This is not a situation that I'm excited to talk about here. Mac Jones is getting projected for higher fantasy points, not too much, but a couple. And you have Justin Fields with his rushing ability at 10.4K. What do we do here, man? I'm not super interested in having double quarterbacks in this lineup, per se. I am higher on Justin Fields than I am Mac Jones. I do think that Justin Fields may be the third or fourth highest owned player on the slate. To me, his upside, I know he hasn't proved it, but his rushing upside really, really helps him, especially throwing him in the captain spot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I think I'm going to be paying very close attention to just ownership projections on Justin Fields. I do think he has some upside, but if he's coming in 45 to 50% own, I'm not that interested. You're not playing Washington, Minnesota, or the Giants defense here, so like I just don't see as much upside unless he does have that rushing touchdown and is able to scramble out of the pocket. Now, to your point, we need to keep in mind that because of the way that this game is going to play out, Justin Fields is one of those quarterbacks who can extend a play, cause a broken play, and that's what leads to a busted coverage where someone's upfield. Now, again, you're not playing one of these bullshit teams. This is one of the greatest secondary coaches that we've seen in the NFL, let alone coach of all time. So, keep that in mind when playing Justin Fields. But look, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm not going to be prioritizing either quarterback. This will probably be the night that I have the least amount of quarterbacks that I've ever had in my Showdown builds.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I am higher on Justin Fields. I do agree that if his ownership is high, but let's look conservatively. If he gets you 175 pass yards, a touchdown, and like 40 rush yards, that's still 16 fantasy points or something like that. that still might be enough to get in the optimal for a team that might not score more than a touchdown. So just keep that in
Right.
mind here. If you think this can be a blowout, like a Patriots blowout, then maybe you want to get a bunch of Patriots onslaughts. But if this is, if this is a 21-17 game or something, you're going to need to find those touchdowns from the Bears, and probably Justin Fields is going to be involved in those. All right, running backs. Let's start with New England. All right, so Ramondre Stevenson, he's clearly the best player on the slate, the highest owned. He's coming in at a 10.8K salary. We all think we know what the Patriots are going to do. Oh, hey, the Patriots, they've established Ramondre Stevenson as their number one guy. Well, we're talking about the freaking Patriots here, man. Damian Harris is 8,400. He's back healthy. To me, I would not be surprised if Damian Harris started the game and got 50-50 of the reps. I don't know what's going to happen, but I like both of these guys. I like Ramondre Stevenson at captain and in the flex, but I also like Damian Harris at captain. Talking about, Damian Harris coming in at probably less than 5% owned at the captain. That could be all we need here to be a little bit different, because I do think Damian Harris can score a touchdown in this game. I think they both can. So we're all about the handcuff today, right?
Absolutely. The Bears are allowing 23 points per game to the running back position. And that's, that's, look at the last several weeks here from Ramondre Stevenson. That's that's essentially his floor, right? Like his median output.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. And then look, last week they gave up. The Bears gave up 20 points to running backs. The week before, 30 points, 19. They haven't given up less than 19 more than once this season. So in week 1, the Bears gave up 8 fantasy points to running backs. Since then, it's all been a shit show. Look, I'm with you, man. I'm not going to be playing the quarterbacks here, so I'm going to have a shitload of Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris stacked together. Not to spoil anything on fades or captains, but you can throw them both in a captain and handcuff from there. That's probably going to be 90% of my builds.
And they're going up against a soft run defense. They should be able to dominate on the ground, which is another reason why I don't love Mac Jones in this game, because I don't know. We've seen what the Patriots will do in these certain kind of game scripts. Well, there was a game last year where Mac Jones had like 3 passes and they still won the game.
Like 45-12 too. Yeah,
it was just
ass whooping.
So he doesn't need to throw the ball sometimes, and that's why I'm super high on the running backs here. Shit, I know we only have 2 of these guys listed, but we don't know what the hell this team's gonna do. I don't know. Yep. These $200 guys. I'd look at these $200 guys too. You just don't know. I'm not personally probably gonna play any of these guys, but worth mentioning. They're $200. All right, let's move on to the Chicago side. David Montgomery's 10.6K. He's barely less than Ramondre Stevenson, but he doesn't have a very good matchup. This is an interesting one to me. He's going to be low owned. He's going to be probably mid 20% owned and probably less than 5% at the captain. David Montgomery is their best offensive option, in my opinion. But they're going to be able, like I said in the opening, I do think they're going to just shut down the run, and they're going to make Justin Fields beat him in the air. So David Montgomery is risky to me. I think big tournaments, you can play him, and I think big tournaments, you can even put him at captain maybe. But it's a very risky. I think Khalil Herbert, even though he's priced up to 5,400, does fit the game script a little bit better for this particular game. But I'm not a huge fan of either of these guys necessarily. But I do want to get some of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to have a little bit of exposure to David Montgomery, as well as Khalil Herbert. Let me kind of just put the Chicago strategy into a little bit more of a little box, and pretty little box. We're looking for, what do they got? They're projected for 16 points. So you're looking for a touchdown and like 3 field goals, essentially. So if you think David Montgomery is getting the touchdown, you play him. If you think it's Khalil Herbert, you play him. Right. And then maybe you go and grab Cairo Santos to stack it up with. So that's kind of the way that I'm approaching this. This is going to be very much more game script specific, as opposed to me just taking the best player from the Bears. It's, do I think David's going to score? If not, I'm not putting him in that lineup. So I'll have probably even exposure with the field. I'll probably be slightly less than David Montgomery, a little bit heavier on Khalil Herbert, just because he is so cheap and he does fit the game script, like you said. But, you just got to pick and choose. Which guy do you think is getting the touchdown? And then do you think it's going to be all field goals from there? If you think it's 2 touchdowns, you get you need to play both those guys. That will be required for the Chicago Bears side of the ball tonight.
All right, let's move over to wide receiver. Darnell Mooney, 7,400. Equinemius St. Brown, 4,600. Dante Pettis with a touchdown last week, 5,200. You got Velus Jones as a return man / wide receiver, 1,200. And you got N'Keal Harry revenge game. I don't know about his play time, but he's $200. This is his first game back, potentially. I don't know if he'll be active, but the rumor is he will be active and he will get on the field a little bit. So talk to me about Darnell Mooney here, man. Like I was saying earlier, the long shot ability, in my opinion, some of these deep down the field plays may have some high upside for this team. Who benefits the most in those situations?
Well, unfortunately, I think outside of N'Keal Harry, this whole team, this whole wide receiver group is the same wide receiver. Literally, all these guys are the same thing. I think Dante Pettis might be 2 inches taller than the rest of the group, but they're all speed guys that like to get up the field and take the top off of the defense. So I think any one of these guys is viable. I just think maybe Darnell Mooney, you probably want to focus with him a little bit more at the captain spot. If he is going to have one of those ceiling games, it's at that price, it's going to need to be at the captain spot so you can jam in some of the other pieces, stack with Fields or whatever you need to do. But look, man,
look at his targets, dude.
Again.
I mean,
yeah,
look, it's not great, but 6, 5, 5, and 12. That's nothing to write home about. But look, he's got a decent floor. He really does, in my opinion. Yep. And I think this is the guy that you probably need to focus on from the Bears. At 7,400, like you said, captain options. Look, he doesn't necessarily need to score a touchdown. You're talking about maybe he needs, if he gets 6 or 7 receptions and 85 yards, that's a decent score for a low-scoring game here. We know Equinemius St. Brown can score, but there's just not a lot of high-powered options on this offense. I think you got to, besides Darnell Mooney, you rotate in these other guys and try to get, because look, Dante Pettis scored last week. I'm pretty sure Velus Jones scored earlier this last week, or no, 2 weeks ago. So one of these guys is going to score, in my opinion. You just got to find the right one. So rotate them out. Don't go too heavy on them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Darnell Mooney's the only one I'm considering a captain. The rest are going to be rotation pieces. And then N'Keal Harry, if he's active, for $200, man, like, I don't know. If you don't think anybody on the Bears side is going to score, that $200 punt for 0 points and 1% ownership might be enough to get you to a higher scoring dude.
Jacoby Myers, 8,200. Devontae Parker, 7K. And then you got guys like Aguilar and Bourne, who are both, Bourne's probably not going to play. Aguilar is questionable. Tyquan Thornton has kind of established himself recently. He's at 6,600. So what do we do here, man? Jacoby Myers is the big target guy. He's the guy that you at least think on paper is going to get those opportunities. And Devontae Parker, we know him back from the Dolphins. We know his high upside. And we know, he's the guy that can go up and catch the ball at a high point. The last 3 weeks, look at that, 10.4, 10.4, and 23.6. So, and he did miss week 5, it looks like. Anyways, what are your thoughts here, man? I think you got to kind of nail this spot here. You're going to have to find the guy that scores the touchdown, because I think there's going to be at least one touchdown from these wide receivers.
Yeah, man. I like Jacoby Myers probably the most out of this group, which shouldn't be shocking, but he seemed to have a little bit better connection with Mac Jones. If I remember correctly, the injury, that happened 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and last year he had an incredible year, just no touchdowns. You add a couple touchdowns to this total, and he's a top 15 fantasy wide receiver. So now with Mac Jones, as long as he can, they do have a connection. It's just, can Mac Jones actually get the ball down the field with that ankle?
Yeah, and look, I mean, the Bears defense sucks at covering wide receivers, which is, I'm sure, shocking. Look, I don't mind getting as much as we can of one of these guys. I don't think you need to go over it. But getting one of these pass catchers and a handcuff with the defense, a running back handcuff with the defense, maybe fade Mac Jones, might be the type of build that I'm looking for tonight. Now, I do want to talk about Tyquan Thornton. It looks like he's been priced up for this matchup. I know he had a pretty big week last week. But the thing that we're looking at for him is I think he was getting a little bit more involvement because of the Damian Harris inactivity, right? And I believe they were missing what was it? One of their wide receivers. It was Jacoby Myers, I think. But anyways, look, that's one of the reasons why he was getting a little bit more run. I don't expect him to be involved all that much, but again, this is like the Rashid or whatever the hell his name is for the Saints the other night.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, this guy is there to take the top off. So if you like him, grab him. He could have a 50, 60-yard touchdown.
Jacoby Myers, 76% of the snaps last week. Devontae Parker, 74%. And Tyquan Thornton, 50%. He ran 22 routes, and the top two guys, Myers and Parker, ran 29 routes. So he's up there. He's a solid, number 3. I don't know if he's going to be as involved in this particular game, but it all kind of depends on that wide receiver news. If both of those guys are out, I think Thornton is a decent play at 6,600. Let's go to tight ends here. So Hunter Henry, 5K, and Jonnu Smith, 2,400. This is a showdown slate. We got to talk about tight ends. Hunter Henry, not a bad option, just not really putting up the numbers, just be probably a byproduct of this offense. But you see 4 targets, 5 targets, 7 targets. Thoughts on Hunter Henry? We know Hunter Henry is kind of one of these showdown killers. He can come out and score a couple touchdowns randomly, but he's at the end of his career.
Yeah, well, him and Johnny Smith, I think they're both guys that can do that. Look, man, I think
Yeah.
you just sprinkle them in, get a little bit of even exposure with the field, and then just work it out. I'm not going to be targeting them by any capacity, but if they're a last piece kind of fitting in nicely like Pat Fryermuth did last night, then I have no problem getting through to them. These are guys that could have a lot of dump off targets. My big concern is that I still don't know that Mac Jones is comfortable in this offense. The numbers are completely different compared to Bailey Zappi. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm still stuck on the running backs here.
Yeah, I'm not prioritizing any of these guys, even from the other side of the ball, but I think you got to at least have them involved with the field because they do have breakout touchdown, opportunities. Cole Kmet, 4,800, Ryan Griffin, 400, Travis Wesco, 200. So Cole Kmet is a kind of guy that on paper should be having a pretty good year, but he definitely is not. 3 targets, 4 targets, 3 targets, no touchdowns this year. He scares me because with it in a situation where you're in the red zone, Cole Kmet's the kind of a big body guy that you want to be throwing the ball to, but there just hasn't been a lot of opportunities. 4,800, he's going to be super low owned, man. Are you any interest in Cole Kmet?
Not really. My issue is just the Bears don't throw the ball enough to really get too much exposure to these guys, and they're not throwing the ball to Cole Kmet. They're barely throwing it to Darnell Mooney, and Darnell Mooney's their best pass catcher. So I'm just not high on him. I think I'd rather go to Hunter Henry. I mean, I might even rather play Ryan Griffin and just punt for $400, man.
Yeah, I mean he did run 20 routes last week. I mean he's getting involved. He's on the field about 90% of the time, but he's just not one of these guys that I would rely on. If you're doing the Millie Maker or something, maybe that's an opportunity for that there. But let's go to kickers and defense. So let's see. We've got Cairo Santos at 4,200, Nick Folk at 4,400. You got to get him involved. This is a low total. We've seen kickers dominate slates. We saw Jason Sanders, hit a 50-yarder and a couple 30-yarders or whatever it was with the extra points, and ended up basically in the winning lineup. You've been seeing a lot of that in showdown slates lately. I can't, if you've watched the show before, I can't stand playing the kickers, and sometimes I try to find leverage by just eliminating the kickers, but I can't do that much anymore. It's just too difficult. We got to be with the field. Are you interested in any, don't hate me for this, are you interested in any, double kicker lineups or kicker captain lineups for this matchup?
Honestly, I don't entirely hate kicker captain lineups. I think I might lean a little bit more towards Cairo Santos in that case. I actually either guy would be fine. The problem is the ceiling is a little bit too limited in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I do think you need to have exposure to both these guys. Lineups for the first time this season, I'll probably have both these guys. Both defenses and 2 running backs. I don't know, man. I'll get a little bit more creative playing these guys this time around.
The kicker at captain lineup as well as the defense at captain lineups, they just don't hit as much as you would like to see them hitting. They have in this season so far because we've had some lackluster play. But I'm not playing Nick Folk or Cairo Santos at captain expecting to win.
Right.
I'm just not. It's just probably not going to happen. I'd rather just take my chances with some of these mid-level receivers who are just maybe a couple $100 more and have a much higher ceiling. Defense, Patriots 5,600. They're going to be popular. There are probably going to be a lot of captain lineups with them as well as in the flex. Bears defense 4K. I think both defenses are in play. Look, the Bears defense is nothing really to write home about, but look, Mac Jones is not Joe Montana. He's coming off injury, and he's not super reliable. So if they can hold the Patriots to less than 20 points and get a couple sacks and maybe an interception, obviously if they take one to the house, it's a whole different game. But Bears defense at 400 instead of getting a kicker could be interesting.
Yeah, man. I think both defenses are in play. I'll have exposure to both of them. I'll be prioritizing the Patriots a little bit more just because it fits that handcuff and the running back game script. But yeah, again, Mac Jones could easily have 3 pass attempts. So I don't. This game could be 7-3, right? So
It could.
I think it's 100% in play.
And you could do, the multiple running backs with the defense, sort of a lineup, and run it back with 1 or 2 pass catchers from like the Bears, or basically a blowout or a garbage time game script. All right, let's get to our Crown Their Ass segment. This is our favorite captain on DraftKings.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Ellie, you're going Stevenson. I'm going Harris. Ellie, dive into this a little bit more. And do you have any other captain options that you'd be considering for tonight?
Well, I don't know if I need to give too much more detail on why I'm choosing Stevenson here, but look, I think both these guys are probably in the best spot for the optimal captain. Stevenson will probably be the highest owned captain, so just keep that in mind when building with them. You're going to need to focus on getting a little bit extra different. But Harris is so low owned that even just sticking with the handcuff should be enough to gain a decent amount of leverage. And then look, other captains that I'm interested in. Honestly, I like Jacoby Myers. But I don't mind Justin Fields at captain. If you're going to run an onslaught, this might be a day to run Justin Fields captain and then run it back with five Pats players, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting build, but I don't think I'm going to have much David Montgomery or anybody else from the Bears.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
So Ellie, you're thinking Fields, but there's an asterisk next to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to be keeping an eye on ownership projections. I wasn't expecting him to be 45 to 50% projected ownership. He should probably be closer to 25 to 30%, but which is where I'll be. But if he actually does come in closer to that 25% mark, then I'll be over the field.
Yeah. So for me, Mac Jones, I'm just not interested in going heavy with him. I'll be under the field, similar to what you're talking about. I think he should be in the 20% range, 25% range personally. And if he is in that range, then I'm not fading him. It just kind of comes down to what the ownership is. But more likely than not, both of these guys will be in the top 4 of ownership. And I'm not super excited about Mac Jones because of his ankle. He's been off the field for a while. I think Fields, to me, I'd rather play Fields. I know he's more expensive, but any day over Mac Jones because of his rushing ability. All right, let's get to our lineup build here. Let me load this up. So this is the click the button, and it gives us what it wants to give us. And Mac Jones is captain. N'Keal Harry, Patriots defense, Jacoby Myers, Justin Fields, and Ramondre Stevenson. This is a 4-2. I don't hate this lineup, but I don't like Mac Jones at captain. That's just me. Feel free to play him at captain all you want, but I'm not doing it.
I don't like 2 wide receivers from the Patriots here. Now, N'Keal Harry is definitely a punt at $200, so it doesn't necessarily count. But
he's on Chicago actually.
Oh yeah, that's right. My bad. You're right.
I know. I get confused too. All right, let's build our own lineup here. Let's go with the Ramondre Stevenson captain because this will be the most popular. Throw Justin Fields in the flex here just to start. We could adjust that later. Where do we go from here, man? Do you want to do the handcuffs? Do you want to do like a 2-4? Do you want to do a 3-3? Or do you just want to get the best possible lineup out of this?
Let's try for a 4-2 Pats and then see where we end up. But yeah, let's get the handcuff in. Let's throw in Damian Harris and let's throw in the Pats defense.
Okay.
Fuck it. Throw in Nick Folk too.
Okay. And Nick Folk. Let's see. That leaves us
Cool.
with 5K for the last spot. That gets us. I mean, if we wanted
Cole
to
Kmet.
do, we get Cole Kmet, Equinemius St. Brown. See, this is pretty nice. Like, we're not really punting here. I mean, this last spot, putting in Equinemius St. Brown, who's on the field 80% of the time, doesn't really feel like a bad play. You could also put the kicker in too if you wanted to, double kicker lineup here, or you could go double defense if you wanted to. That's not bad. Hey, let me actually. What do we have? We had Cole Kmet. Let me save that one. Let me save this one, and let me save the Equinemius St. Brown. All right, let's stick with this core here. Do you want to?
Let's go to throw in Cairo Santos, and then let's put in Jacoby Myers and see where we're at.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd say that. 2,600. So we're going super low. You got to get a Velus Jones. You could do a
Smith.
Jonnu.
Yep.
I feel pretty comfortable with Jonnu as your throwaway guy. I really do. And remember, this is a rain game, so just keep that in mind. It could change things slightly. Let's do this. Let's start fresh here. So I like Ramondre. I like Justin Fields. I want to do a 2-4. I want to do Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney, and a Khalil Herbert. And maybe we do the kicker on the other side or something to that effect. Maybe you go
Throw
Cairo
in
Santos.
Start with the handcuff. Throw it back, Damian Harris.
Okay. So we got Damian Harris at 2,200. So we get a Bear, we get a Velus Jones, or you go down to N'Keal Harry sort of a lineup. So let's get rid of Damian Harris here. Let's actually go kicker, or we can go middle of the road like Tyquan Thornton or something like that. As the other guy.
Throw in Nick Folk. I like that.
All right. So Nick Folk here, that leaves us 6,200 for a Bear position in this particular lineup. And we already got Khalil Herbert. It doesn't do much for you. You get Dante Pettis when you leave some on the table, or you go down to Cole Kmet and leave a lot more on the table. This kind of stuff is interesting. I do think that having these Patriot captains mixed in with 3 or 4 Bears in the flex is an interesting type build. I think there's leverage there in fourth quarter blowout time. All right, let's go with Damian Harris and see if it's a little bit easier to build. Damian Harris is a risky option at captain. There's not only so many snaps that these running backs are going to get, but I do feel pretty confident with his ownership and his upside. So how do you want to handle this? You want to go Ramondre right off the bat? I'm not going to do handcuffs in every one of my lineups, but maybe we build this lineup with a handcuff.
Hold on. Let's stick with your 2-4 idea. Let's not go handcuff on this build. Throw in Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, nice.
And then let's do a 4 run back again with the Bears. And let's go Fields, Montgomery, Herbert if we can.
Yep, 2,800.
And then Velus Jones, whatever.
Yeah,
you could even go Jonnu Smith, and I wouldn't hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could do Jonnu. You could do Velus Jones. Let me save these. Let's try this instead of Montgomery. Let's see if we can get Darnell.
Yeah, and there's so much flexibility here.
Yeah,
shit, I'm gonna end up playing a little bit more Fields than I wanted to.
I mean, this is kind of cool too. Even 3-3 with Patriots defense. Or you can go Dante Pettis. So you got 2 pass catchers, and you got a running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield. I honestly wouldn't hate. Here, I want to try this. Let's try that 1-5 or the 2-4 Justin Fields captain. Right? So Justin Fields a captain. Let's do an onslaught on the other side. Let's do the 5. Let's
go Mac. Let's go Ramondre, and then let's see where we're at for salary.
So we could
Nick Folk.
We could do like a Devontae Parker. I mean, we could do Jacoby Myers. It'll be a little tight, but let's put in Nick Folk here. 9,400. Maybe we want to do one of these middle of the road guys. I mean, obviously Nelson Aguilar is questionable, but maybe we, Devontae Parker. Can we do Jacoby? It leaves us 1,200.
I mean, that's Felix Jones, so it's a 2-4, which
2-4.
again isn't terrible, but not what we're going for here.
Yeah.
Go from Myers down to Tyquan Thornton.
Okay.
Let's see what
Thornton,
that gives us.
2,800.
Back to Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu. Hey, I like that. So this kind of weird stuff, this lineup, we've seen crazy things happen like this. Justin Fields gets a couple random. I mean, we got to treat Justin Fields like, like the crappy poor man versions of Lamar sometimes because he has that rushing upside, and you might just be able to go naked with him. All right,
hold on. Leave Fields. Just pull out Mac Jones and swap him out for Damian Harris.
Okay. Damian Harris.
And then
let's pull Thornton too.
Thornton, put in the defense.
Okay. Patriots defense, 5,200. Plenty left.
Hunter Henry.
Yeah. Hunter Henry here. This is an onslaught. You could do Dante Pettis as well or something to that effect. Can't quite get Herbert. That would have been nice. All right. Let's do our last lineup here. What do you think?
Khalil Herbert, captain.
All right. Let's do it. Khalil Herbert, captain. Where are you at, bro? There he is.
Let's go Fields, Stevenson. Fuck it. Let's go Mooney.
Okay. Mooney. Decent amount left, man. We don't have to punt that much. I like it.
You want to go? Let's go Nick Folk and see what we have left.
8,900. Damian Harris.
Do it. 3-3. It's not terrible.
Or Jacoby Myers. I'm actually excited about this slate now. Right? I mean, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
What's your
pricing soft?
Yeah, the pricing last night was very difficult. This is pretty soft today, and I like that. So, when you're building tonight, what are you going to be looking at now that we built a couple lineups? Are you locking in certain builds like 4-2s, 2-4s? What are your thoughts on that, or do you just let it kind of ride?
No, I'll be looking at more 4-2s, but tonight I think I'll be leaning a little bit towards a few more 3-3s. I don't think there's going to be much of that build type just because people don't want to play the Bears, so I think you can get a little bit of leverage by doing that, but I'm not going to get crazy with it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go 4 Bears in your lineup to be different. 3 might just be enough, depending on who your captain is. You see it's over 100 points difference in ownership. There's not going to be a lot of 3-3s. I just don't think that it's just the math just doesn't add up for it. So I think there's some high leverage there. What's your final score predictions here, and who's the scrub that can score?
I think the final score is 27-10, New England, and the scrub that scores. Let's go with Ryan Griffin, man. Why not? Cheap tight end.
All right. 21-17 is my prediction, Patriots, but I think this is going to be kind of a closer game, probably boring. I'll probably be on TikTok while I'm watching it or something because it's going to be probably a pretty boring game. Is the Manning cast back tonight?
I don't know, but TikTok might be banned.
What?
There was in the U.S. there was a news conference like 30 minutes ago.
Oh, really?
So,
Well, we've been talking about this for like 2 or 3 years, so screw it. I'll be pissed if that happens. All right, we will see you guys later. Thanks a lot. Talk to you for Thursday Night Football. That is Tom Brady versus Lamar Jackson.
Good game.